What's going on, everyone? Golden Ticket to History here in Woodlawn Cemetery, Woodlawn Memorial Gardens, in Gotha, Florida, about 25 minutes west of downtown Orlando. If you've been checking out my channel, you know I've been here a lot. This is a very, very active cemetery, and it seems to be the final resting place of a lot of famous people who have made the Orlando, Central Florida area, the Florida area, their home, and now their final resting place in the afterlife. I'm here with a former Major League Baseball player, Mike Cuellar. And I want to take an opportunity to pay my respects to Mike. I'm going to do a little bit of a voiceover to kind of give you guys a little bit about his history, what he did in his playing career. He unfortunately lost a battle with cancer that unfortunately led to his untimely death, his young death. But I'm going to go into a little bit of detail with that in a voiceover.
Mike Cuellar was a four-time 20-game winner for the Baltimore Orioles and the winner of 185 Major League games. He could also lay claim to being one of the best and most superstitious players in baseball. He had a routine, and please don't interfere with it, remembered teammate Paul Blair. He would walk to the mound the same way, same steps, step on the mound, go to the front of the mound, and the rosin bag couldn't be on there. Somebody had to come and kick the rosin to the back of the mound, or he wouldn't get on the mound. Then he'd walk off the mound the same way. He would come to the dugout the same way, make the same number of steps to the water cooler. Everything had to be the same every time he went out there. Before taking the field, Cuellar sat on the lucky end of the training table wearing a gold chain medallion while the trainer massaged his arm. He took batting practice on the same day he pitched, even after the designated hitter rule was in place. When the team traveled, he wore a blue suit. Whether his superstitions helped his pitching can be debated, but there is no doubt that for most of his 8 years with the Orioles, Cuellar was one of the most effective pitchers in Major League Baseball. A nasty screwball developed mostly in winter baseball, and the Caribbean saw to that. Cuellar remained occasionally active in baseball, serving as a pitching coach in the independent leagues for many years in Puerto Rico. He was an instructor with the Orioles during the last years of his life and showed up often at team functions and reunions. Cuellar was a healthy man for many years when he suddenly was diagnosed with stomach cancer in early 2010. He died on April 2nd, 2010 in Orlando, Florida, where he had lived for several years. He was survived by his wife, Miriam, his daughter, Lydia, and his son, Mike Jr. The latter pitched for 5 years in the Toronto Blue Jays farm system, but did not rise past Double-A ball. He was like an artist, Palmer said after Cuellar died. He could paint a different picture every time he went out there. He could finesse you, he could curveball you to death, or screwball you to death. From 1969 to 1974, he was probably one of the best left-handed pitchers in American baseball.
So if you follow baseball, you know, there's a couple professional athletes, professional former baseball players who have made Woodlawn their final resting place, Mike being one of them. There's a few others. Unfortunately, their locations are not mapped currently, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to try to find them. I may not find them in this trip. I may come back again in the future. This cemetery has over 32,000 interments, and it's an active cemetery, so there's constantly new ones every single day. As you look behind me, you see that there is a tent set up for either an upcoming one this weekend, or maybe there was already one today. It doesn't look like it's been messed with yet, so I don't think it's been there's been a service there yet. However, there will be one shortly. I did another video on Dave Peverett, and there was a tent set up about 20 feet past his final resting place as well. So this is an active cemetery. This is the final resting place of a former NFL player, a handful of former Major League Baseball players, Mike Cuellar being one of them. If you want to come out and pay your respects, right there is Woodlawn Cemetery Road. It runs just north and south from the cemetery. You enter from back that way. I forget what direction I'm pointing in. And and you can come in. This is actually a section of the cemetery that I didn't even know existed until about 10 minutes ago. I've seen the entrance to this area for a while, and ignorant to me, or unbeknownst to me, this is actually an additional part of the cemetery. I actually thought it was a development or community that just so happened to enter or exit, or have a side entrance or exit into the cemetery to get out to the main road. Silly me. Silly me to believe that that wasn't a neighborhood, but it was in fact an area where thousands and thousands of additional final resting places could find themselves. And in some cases, I'm actually quite happy that I found this section, because this is a very, very nice, peaceful area. There's a nice wall right behind me. That's about 150 feet or so. And then you'll find Mike's final resting place. There we are. Find Mike's final resting place right here. So if you'd like to leave a memento or something, I have my penny that I just dropped. I have my penny that I just dropped that I'm going to leave for Mike. As I've talked about in previous videos, pennies are a sign of respect, showing that you've came out and you've paid your respects, you've visited the final resting place of the individual who lies at rest there. As I was saying before, this section of the cemetery is called Astor Estates. What's the name of Estates? I was thinking, oh, it's a high-class neighborhood that just so happens to dump out into a cemetery. Go figure. It could happen. Happened in Haunted Mansion. But anyhow, if you have an opportunity to come out here, make sure that you do not do what I did and forget that this section of the cemetery exists, because you would do a great disservice to yourself. As you see, those nice bridges. You can hear the waterfalls in the distance. There's the creek running. It's quaint, it's quiet. And unlike some of the other parts of the cemetery, there's a lot of above ground interments as well. As you see out here, there's a couple massive mausoleums, which are family plot mausoleums. Over there, that one over there, that entire section is one family's final resting place, their family plot. And it is massive. It's like a tiny house. But as always, try not to keep this video too long. Always remember to check out and look for the history in film. Until next time, see you guys.